Shooter standby.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Well, let me kick off the second hour with free stuff, or the opportunity for free stuff, or the potential for free stuff. You could have a free backpack with ballistic armor plate inside it. What do you think of that?
Woohoo. How do I go about doing it? That's the thing.
Well, you just...
What kind of hoops do I got to jump through?
Not a lot. Oh. There is a hoop. There is one hoop, but it's not a big hoop. Asfalia Designs, A-S-F-A-L-E-I-A, Asfalia Designs is working with us, with Eye on the Target Radio. And so once every month, they're going to give away a bag. So all you have to do is go to their website, and in the lower right-hand corner of their website, there is a login, register. They want your email. So they all want your email. That's the deal.
So you just register one time per month, or can you register every day? Or
no, you just register once, and then you're in both drawings, as long as you register before September 15th, which is when the first drawing happens. And so what is going to happen is that on the September 15th radio show, we will be calling out someone's name, and they will be gifted one of the family pack backpacks with the ballistic plate inside it, or the ballistic panel. I guess there's a difference between a plate and a panel. So this is the lightest weight ballistic panel that goes into and slides inside the backpack. And so with what we're hearing on the news everywhere, every day, that people don't value human life. They don't value your life. And it's your job to protect yourself and your family. This is a concealed carry bag. It has a potential place to put a holster. It has a holster built in, so a potential place to put a gun. And it has the ballistic panels. How cool is that?
Right, and it's a bag, so you can carry lots of ammo, too.
And it is, and it's unisex. So guys can register, gals can register. The website is Asfalia Design, A-S-F-A-L-E-I-A designs.com.
I got a gun, so I don't matter if my purse has a peacock on it. I still got a gun.
Exactly. No, but it's not a purse. It's a backpack, so you can still feel manly.
Manly,
yes.
huh?
Exactly. I just think it's great, and I am so
What would be
jazzed.
nice is if the plate or the whatever they call it was tough enough that you could actually take it off and sit on it occasionally, so it worked as a stool too. Because I do a lot of sitting.
We'll have to ask, because I got nothing for that.
And that's maybe put two panels that you could like rock out there. That way you'd sit there without throwing you off on the ground. Because I don't get up well either. I'm kind of stiff.
I don't know that it works like that. I think that it's just lightweight. It goes into your backpack, and it'll keep your backpack from collapsing, so that even if you only have ammo in the bottom and you don't have anything in the top, it'll still maintain its shape. But it's really pretty cool.
So
and
give them that website again, because nobody had a pencil the first time. You know how it is.
Asfalia, A-S-F-A-L-E-I-A design. So as
That's
with
.com or something?
Yeah, .com. As with any of these difficult to spell, once you lock it in, it'll be stuck with you. But in the beginning, it's like, why did you not pick something simple?
Like winner.
He said, right. And Dell Arnold, who's the owner, he said that Asfalia is the goddess of war or defense, or it was one of those kind of stories where I was like, yeah, nobody can still spell it. And I don't mean to be derogatory, and I don't mean to be negative, but when you pick a business name that is a little unique, you've got to work a little harder to get people to understand the name. But the cool part is that his willingness to work harder means that you could win this backpack bag, family pack. How cool! So, I have the briefcase. I have a pink leather briefcase carrier bag. And I just keep looking at it. And I have not invoked it into use yet because it is so nice that I'm going to scuff it and then I'm going to be sad. But I have to kind of move over to that next level. And so I'm thinking about it, thinking really hard. It's sitting right here in front of me.
On a chair, like you would put it hanging on the wall, but it's
no. I've got it hooked on the chair. It's sitting there, and it's been sitting like in a place of honor. Well, it's sitting on the chair, but it's in a place of honor in the middle of my kitchen. At some point, my husband's going to be like, "You either need to carry this or put it away." Those are the two options. But right now, I have. I'm in transition. I'm in transition with it. But if you are going to, it's a giant decision.
I've seen you try to put your laptop in there 11 different times. You put it in and you take it back out, put it back in, take it back out.
I know, I'm playing with it.
I don't know if you just started learning how to quick draw that thing or something.
I'm playing with it. I told you. It's a relationship. When you get a new bag, it is a commitment. And it is a relationship, sort of like getting a new holster or getting a new gun. You have to spend time with it. And when this one has the ability to carry my laptop, which is a lifelong commitment to me, it has the ability to carry my wallet, which means I get to be fed, and it has the ability to carry my gun so I can be here the next day and the day after that. So it is a big lifetime transition when you move to something new. It's not just willy-nilly you just go, okay, I'm done, I'm there. No, you have to really think it through.
Some people just buy stuff and start using it right away.
No.
You ever buy something and like throw the old one away at the store while you're there?
Oh, no.
New one out?
That would be 11 times of never.
Usually when I'm done with it, it's done. So I just put the new one on and wear it out.
And then the old one. No. Not happening.
Keep my receipt handy so that I can.
So you don't get mugged at the door. But yeah, no, not happening. That's not how I roll. I have to think about it. I have to think a little harder about it. And I'm not a big change person. But man, I like the pink. I like the design. I like the size. I like all the features. And so I'm getting ready.
Yeah, I'm an all in or all out kind of person. There's no winding up to it.
No winding up to it. Man, I don't know. It's kind of cool. I mean, it's sort of like when you pick a new gun. I
got a plan for that. I just buy a lot of them, and then the ones that I play with a lot are my favorites, and the others are just guns.
Well, since I borrowed your gun to see if I wanted it to be my gun, I may have to, in the long run, buy a gun like your gun so that I could be my gun, because that sort of seems to be where I'm headed right now. So I like how it fits and I like how it feels, and I'm actually committing enough that I'm going to take it to Gunsight when I go take the pistol class at Gunsight Academy. And,
it's funny, I've been just falling back into my old stuff. I mean, I got my Diamondback that I use all the time, and then I dug up my Walther CCP, and it's amazing how easy it was to get right back on target with that. I mean, we got one of those dueling trees we set up, and I can zoom right through that thing with no problem.
And you can keep it all on Mike's side, so Mike has to work harder?
He doesn't even bother to try anymore because he can't pull it off. So, but it's funny how you as soon as you go back, I mean, one or two magazines, I'm back in getting used to. This one has a safety where my newer stuff doesn't have safeties built into it and everything, and just getting to where you got to flick the safety off and go.
Okay. Interesting. Well, I know that at one point you were absolutely in love with that Remington R51.
I like those, but I've had so many issues with them.
You've done bad things to them?
I have one now that needs to go back, but I haven't done anything with it.
Okay.
I have a brand new one with a laser that I picked up to replace it, but
You're afraid to...
I'm so over that now. I'm back in the...
Well, isn't that crazy? Because I wondered about that because I hadn't seen it out, and it was like you really liked how it
nice
fit.
for point shooting and that. I mean, I can point shoot like Hoss Cartwright on the TV.
So do you think that they'll get past their issues enough that others
I doubt
will?
it. I think they got such a bad taste in their mouth from that they're going to.
They're just going to walk away from it. It's going to be the Edsel of guns,
right? And it's
so that it was a great idea, that it was a little premature, and it had an issue.
And if you've got one that works, it works fine. And when it quits right now. There's no transition-y stuff. Well, that's interesting. So we're going to have a conversation with them and see if they'll fix you up so that you have two of them as your backups when you pull that back out again. I mean, I really like the gun. It's good. It's an easy gun to master and shoot and everything. It's comfortable to carry. And I love the squeeze grip safety to it. But I tend to break them.
He shoots them to pieces. So, hey, when we come back, we will then talk about the history of the M1 Garand. 1 hour late, but still there.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, krmaradio.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough? Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.EyeOnTheTargetRadio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.EyeOnTheTargetRadio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, we are back, and last hour, when we typically do our history section, we got a call from our friend Yehuda Reamer, and so we just said, well, we'll just reschedule the history of the M1 Grand. But
well, first off, I want to start with a little trivia. What was the first country to pick a semi-automatic rifle to use as their military?
Do I get to guess?
Sure.
Russia.
Mexico.
Really?
Yep. There was a lieutenant or something. His name was Mondragon. He designed this gas-operated automatic rifle. He actually had the Swiss build it for him.
Okay.
And the Mexicans were using this 1900 style. It was basically a straight pull bolt action rifle that they converted to some automatic. During World War I, the Germans had adopted some of them in 1908, and they used them in the trenches in World War I.
And they were called the Mondragon?
Yes, and they were in 7mm caliber.
Okay.
The doughboys, when they were over there, they got to use the French Chauchat machine gun, which was really a piece of junk. Every one of them was handmade, and no parts off of one would fit into another. And then they had big holes in the side where dirt could get in, so being down in a trench wasn't a good spot for it.
Okay.
But this semi-automatic rifle made a big hit. John Browning came out with this BAR in 1918, right at the end of the war, so that it was almost too late to make an impact in World War I. So the board decided they wanted a semi-automatic rifle. Originally, they decided to change to a .276 Peterson caliber. Peterson was a designer, worked for Remington, and he actually built some prototype rifles that had a toggle link on the bolt like a Luger does.
Okay.
But you think about when you're shooting it, if this big toggle stands up and then lays back down in front of your face, how does that...
I built a flinch in.
Coming at you.
I'm not saying I have a flinch, but I have a flinch based on that.
So, but John Graham worked for the government's Springfield Arsenal, and so he also was working on a design, and everyone was aimed at this .276 Peterson round that was going to be the new replacement. They finally, because Garand was working for free, basically on payroll, where the other guys wanted to be compensated.
We're on commission or on
Garand had a leg up in all the trials.
Okay, so Garand was his name also, right?
John Garand was his name.
John Garand, okay.
And he worked for the government, and so they didn't have to pay him anything for the use of the design or anything. Originally, it was in .276. They used a gas trap system on the end of the barrel, so the barrel actually moved in it. MacArthur come through and said they were sitting on a couple 100 billion rounds of .30-06 ammo after the Great War, so why would they change the .276? So that he redesign it to .30-06.
Okay.
The first, I believe, 20,000 rifles are of this gas trap design. They have a 2-inch shorter barrel, and they also have this really funny-looking trap on the end of the barrel.
Okay.
Those guns are extremely rare and valuable. Some of the guns, that serial number, they took them back in and refit them with regular parts. So,
you don't know how many.
You may have a gas trap serial number range, but you don't have a gas trap gun. So there's you need to do some research if you have a low number, Garand. And
okay.
But we were the first and really the only one that had a functioning semi-automatic rifle going into World War II that actually worked, and it made a big difference and it was kind of funny because the Japanese actually copied. They captured some and copied them, and I've seen about 5 different styles of designs. I don't think they ever got past the prototype stage, but those also are extremely valuable guns if you happen to have one of these. I believe they call them a Type 20 or something like that. But the Garand went through some changes. When the war started, there's a premium for guns that were built before Pearl Harbor Day. So if you have one of the early guns, people pay extra for a gun that was built before the December 7th, 41 date. There's Springfield mainly made them. As the war was coming in, they got Winchester involved. Winchester started making them. They got other companies that were making little parts for them, but primarily they were the receivers and stuff were built by later on H&R, like around Korean War time. H&R and International Harvester also built M1s. Okay. And I believe International never made barrels. I believe that they used some other supplier barrel, but it's a very interesting story. There's plenty of books written on the thing, and when you open the action on the side of the barrel is a date. It'll tell you the date and the drawing number and all kinds of different things about your M1, so you can see if it's the serial number and the barrel. So you can see it
while it's still assembled, or you have to disassemble it?
You can see it while it's still assembled. Just when you open the action where the op rod goes in there and closes that port off, it'll open so you can see the dates in there. A lot of them after the war were refitted with new barrels and new parts and stuff like this because they'd seen some hard use during the war and also corrosive ammo. I've seen some M1s where during the war they were shot so much that the wood inside the barrel channel had turned to charcoal. So it's like how hot does the rifle have to be if you've turned the wood to a charcoal briquette?
Right, because it has to be oxygen starved and extremely hot for it to be in that situation.
Right. So these guys, they were apparently pinned down somewhere, and they had to just put the rounds through this gun the whole time. But they made about 7 million M1s altogether. There's different lots for Springfield's manufacturer, Winchester's manufacturer. So they didn't make a whole 7 million. There's some that are missing here and there, and some were held back for certain things. And then they used them for parade work, national match work, all kinds of things.
But there's the M1 and then the M1 carbine, and they're two different
Right, the carbine
guns.
is a completely different gun, and it wasn't very popular with our troops, but the Germans loved them. So you'll see lots of photos where the German troops are going through, they're all carrying M1 carbines.
So where did they get them? So they've
took
taken
them from somebody who wasn't using them anymore.
Who didn't need it anymore. Exactly. Isn't that a crazy, crazy thing? So, folks, that is the history of the M1 Garand. And as we always say, Rob and his little beanie hat is pretty amazing as we go. You never know what happens in live radio. You never, ever know. You're listening to Eye on the Target Radio with Rob and Amanda.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com. Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.EyeOnTheTargetRadio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.EyeOnTheTargetRadio.com for Rust is Bad.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Writing Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Writing Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
This is Dan Perkins with your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day. If you're a veteran with a disability, are you interested in a program that could give you a free home? Homes for Our Troops is a privately funded 501c3 nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans to enable them to rebuild their lives. These homes restore some of the freedom and independence our veterans sacrificed while defending our country and enable them to focus on their family and recovery. Since its inception in 2004, nearly 90 cents of every dollar has gone directly to the program to serve veterans. HFOT builds these homes where the veterans choose to live and continues its relationship with the veterans after the home delivery to assist them in rebuilding their lives. For more information, go to their website, www.hfotusa.org, and see if you can qualify for the home of your dreams. This has been your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day.
Well, we're back, and this name is going to sound so familiar to you, you're going to feel like you just heard it only last week. So I'm going to tell you that who we have as a guest is, we had a little bit of a technical difficulties last week, but we have Rick Ector from Legally Armed in Detroit. And Rick is if you have not seen him, heard him, know who he is, he's a really cool guy who does some really good work in the Detroit area with firearms and firearms education for his community. I mean, I don't want your head to get really big, Rick, but this is a model program that other people ought to copy. And so that's a pretty cool thing. But I'm not having you call in. I'm not talking to you about the program that you do in Detroit, but maybe we'll circle back to that. Instead, I am talking to you about the rest of your advocacy work that you're doing. So, Rick, welcome to the show.
How are you? Thank you so very much for having me. It's always a pleasure. How's the weather there? We're talking about all these bad conditions in Florida. How are you guys coping? What's the weather like locally to you?
We have a giant storm that's overhead, which means that the studio is always slightly sketchy. So that. But other than that, we're really doing well. So the topic that we want to talk about this week is the fact that you have been asked by the NRA to be part of one of the committees that is kind of the underpinnings of the NRA's activism programs, correct?
Yeah, it's an honor to be selected for the committee. The committee that I've been asked to join is one that focuses on bringing women and minorities into the organization, letting them know about the National Rifle Association. And I've had some success with training women, with the program that I do with hundreds and hundreds of women that we train how to shoot a gun in one day. The last iteration, this past May, we trained just over 800 women how to safely shoot a gun and had all types of promotions associated with that to get them really excited about being gun owners and learning the fundamentals of safety. So I consider it to be an honor to be a part of that committee, and I'm looking to join fellow like-minded citizens on that committee and sharing what I know, and hopefully be able to learn something from the fellow committee members. Maybe there are some things that they're doing that I can incorporate in my activities here in Detroit.
And I think that's really good. I think it really is a compliment to be asked to be involved. I mean, the NRA is the biggest player in the Second Amendment arena, and they've got a structure that has worked for them for years. And given the noise that is going on right now, how much pushback are you getting from people just giving you grief because how dare you align yourself with the NRA?
Well, I've gotten some pushback, but you know what? I'm looking at the big picture. Whatever is going to happen, whenever, this situation resolves itself one way or another, my core personal focus has always been to be a trainer. And if I'm afforded an opportunity to align myself with a gun rights organization to talk about what I'm doing locally here in the Detroit area, and if I can have any influence on what other trainers are doing local to their area about bringing, I guess what you would call non-traditional shooters into the fold and getting them acclimated with gun rights activism or gun rights education or safe gun handling, then by all means I'm willing to do that. One way or another, those issues that we're having as a gun community, they will resolve themselves one way or another. But my core personal mission is to be a trainer and to serve underrepresented communities, whoever is leading the organization. So personally, my mission is not going to change.
I think some of this, where they're non-standard way of training, is good because we've already tried the old way. Why don't we try something new and exciting that might draw, like he says, new shooters that are really not wanting to be, professional shooters. They just want to know how to use the gun safely and maybe be able to ask some real questions when they go to purchase a gun that actually are something that would help them in the long run with purchasing a gun.
Because there are people that you don't start to shoot a gun, you don't start to buy a gun unless you know somebody in your circle who is going to walk you through that process the first time. It's a fairly intimidating process overall.
And that's what I think is the beauty of the program. It's not like I'm just advocating, hey, this is something you should do. I'm removing every conceivable barrier that could prevent you from learning more. All you need is just an interest or a desire. All I'm saying is, hey, this is when we're doing the program. And I've even standardized the last 4 years of when we do it. It's always the first Sunday after Mother's Day. Currently, we're at this gun range, Top Gun, in Taylor. So you know the place. You know when it's going to be held. I've removed all the barriers. There's no cost. You're going to be one-on-one with a trained and vetted firearms trainer. You're going to get a safety briefing. We had the GOA come out, and they gave out ball caps. I mean, we had associated freebies. There's no reason why, if you're interested, why you should not go. And that's the whole thing. I don't, want to have any costs associated whatsoever. Despite the increasing number of women that participate, I'm always looking to grow this thing. And, a slight problem that I have is with no-shows, and I've listened to feedback from other people who volunteer, suggestions. And one thing that people keep saying is, well, maybe if you had like a small token fee, maybe that would discourage, people from no-showing.
Yeah, the little skin in the game kind of thing. I don't know what you can really do because people are like, yeah, your time is not nearly as important as my time.
Well, we've had plenty of classes where people have signed up and.
My thing is just to offer so much value that it's better than what you're doing or better than, how you would spend that time. It's not during a really hectic period of time. We just had Mother's Day. Father's Day is still like, 3 weeks ahead of time, even though I will concede that Father's Day, for some reason, is nowhere near as popular as Mother's Day. But still, you're in that lull between Mother's Day and Father's Day. The weather is becoming decent. Kids are, still in school, I think, for the most part. So, hey, remove all barriers. It's a good time of the year, and everyone knows when it's happening. All I just have to do is get the word out. And I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to talk about this program on your show today. Not only for me, but for other people that want to do something similar to this.
I think that's the beauty of it, and the beauty of the outreach committee is the fact that you may have the potential to you've got this down to it's a process, and you've got all the steps in the process together. So someone else who wants to mirror it or mimic it can do that because you've pretty much canned the whole program now.
They don't have to reinvent the wheel. They just follow the steps and
follow Rick Ector 101 as to what they do.
Well, I mean, anytime you want to do something, right? And that's some of the challenges I had. I was looking around to see who had done something like this, and to my knowledge, I haven't found anyone that was doing it. So I didn't let that deter me. But now that I've done this for 8 consecutive years, I am definitely open to the idea of anyone who is so willing and so bold as to do this in their local community. I would welcome them with open arms and offer to share what pieces of advice that I could give to help make this thing successful. My only caveat is that don't try to shoot for 800 women in that first weekend. You got to start somewhere, like I did.
Start small and build from there.
You don't have to start with the 50 I started out with. Maybe give you a running start. Maybe you can start out with 100 or 200, that first time out. Some of the ideas that I've come up with over the years. But, you don't have to start from zero.
Right. Hey, Rick, we're getting up to the commercial break. Would you stick? And let's talk a little bit more about the NRA, the outreach committee, those types of things. Folks, Rick Ector from Legally Armed in Detroit, and we'll be back right after the break. You're listening to Eye on the Target Radio with Rob and Amanda.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Sefcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough? Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.EyeOnTheTargetRadio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.EyeOnTheTargetRadio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
We're back and continuing our interview with Rick Ector, legally armed in Detroit. Hey, Rick, if folks want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you? What is the easiest way for them to connect and contact you?
Easiest way would probably be on social media. I have a presence just about everywhere: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I even have a YouTube channel with over 1,000 videos, and I'm going to spend some more time there. My name, Rick, R-I-C-K, last name, Ector, E-C-T-O-R. Most sites, my user ID, user handle is Detroit CCW, all concatenated together. DETROIT
Okay. So that way they can get to you, and they can find you on Facebook under Rick Ector, Rick Ector 2. You've got some
Facebook.com/Detroit CCW. I made it consistent across most platforms.
Oh, got it. Okay, Detroit CCW, got it. Okay, so they can find you there, and then they can ask you. So if they're looking at it to say, I want to do what Rick's doing, but I want to do it in my state of Utah or Washington or Oregon
or if they're
or Ohio.
Or in Detroit area the weekend after Mother's Day, they might want to sign up and be in on the
be one of the trainers, one of the volunteers, one of the hangers-oners to see how he does it in person.
Or might want to just learn to do it.
It's a gargantuan effort. I need not only trainers, I need people to keep everyone, in an orderly procession as they wait, during their shift to wait for their time to go shoot. Presenters to actually do the safety briefings.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally an all hands on deck, and I truly, truly am grateful for the 60 volunteer firearms instructors who give of their professional expertise and of their personal time to be there. For the most case, a lot of people are there the whole time, or sometimes they'll just come in and say, oh, I can only do half a day or a quarter of a day. Taken all together, we averaged like 60 people for the whole duration of the event, and anything that people can give, if it's just their time, it is very well appreciated.
Oh, that's it. It's got to be very orchestrated to be able to manage that many people with firearms and trainers and them get something out of it. So it's a great program.
I think just trying to get that many people in the ballpark at one day is monumental.
Right. Think about it. Just feeding them hot dogs. I mean, how would you do this? Who wants mustard? Who wants ketchup? Yeah.
Well, with innovation and with doing it over and over again, you're constantly evaluating what needs to change. And once I started getting so many women, I couldn't just have them all show up in one location at one time. Then I went to evolve to this new paradigm where I would have them come in different waves. So this is the current iteration of formula I'm doing now. I envision within the next year or two, I'm going to have to come up with another system, but, the ideas are still coming, and I'm still literally learning as I follow this path.
Okay. So you are part of the NRA Outreach Committee. I am part of the NRA Grassroots Committee. So what guidance and advice would the Outreach Committee have for the Grassroots Committee so that we can do great and innovative things across the country?
I will have to say that I am still relatively green. Maybe within the last month, I was invited to be a part of the committee, and I am waiting to be involved. I'm still literally getting my feet wet. Few of my fellow committee members I have met because, I go to the conferences, both the NRA conference and I go to the Gun Rights Policy Conference, and I have a lot of people in my friends list, so I tend to know people in the gun movement, and I happen to already have met quite a few of them, but there's still a few I have not met, and I'm still getting my feet wet, but I'm anxious to get in here and make contributions and do what I can. Literally haven't gone to a meeting yet, haven't officially met all of my committee members, however, so I do know some of them.
You're just at I've rolled out the fact that I'm on the committee. So what do you think, what's your stand on this big hubbub of the NRA and I don't know how to say it, because there's pro-2A people who have taken an anti-NRA stance, and I am having such a hard time with that. I mean, I think that there may be some chastisement that is necessary or some overseeing of the organization, but I look at this almost as in we're handing everything. We're eating our own young, if you will. It's just kind of an interesting place that we are.
You're right in that it is a very interesting set of circumstances. It just coincidentally happens to be at probably, I guess, the worst possible time. We're at a point where, we have to go through this cyclical battle with the anti-gun people. when they come back to us with their hats in their hand asking for more and more concessions that have absolutely nothing to do with keeping people safe, we just started a brand new month here, September, and I guess more gun legislation or gun control is going to be on the agenda, and we're going to have a battle royale, to hold the line and not make any concessions for gun control, especially when we all know that anything that they come up with would not have made a difference in these last unfortunate incidents that we've just witnessed. But, they say, well, just give us something. Well, every time we give concessions and give them something, nothing changes because the concessions we gave up don't impact the root cause, and yet and still we have good people who are continually being disenfranchised of their constitutionally recognized God-given rights. So, what do we do, man? I mean, we have to, I guess, hold the line and not give up any more rights and get more people involved in terms of, and I don't want to say point the finger, but at least have greater discussions in terms of things that really could make a difference. I mean, when we look at this violence that we're experiencing, however it's affected or wherever it's occurring, there's a root cause beyond people owning guns. I mean, I look at all of the people who own firearms by and large. You're talking about an extremely minuscule amount of people who use them unlawfully, and in many times we're talking about people who are either criminals with serious criminal background histories or people who had known psychological issues and concerns. And for some reason, everyone wants to pass the buck and not do anything about it and go back to their pet strategy. Well, let's attack gun owners who had absolutely nothing to do with it. This last shooting we just had, within the last day, they killed the guy. Okay, so how do you rectify that? Well, that one specific issue, well, hey, you won't be around. But what led this bad guy to do the things he did? I don't know. They haven't really come out and given us a post-mortem on his background. But if it holds true to form, it probably would be no different than some of the other things we've seen before. There was some troubled person who needed help, didn't receive it. All types of, warning signs were exhibited, and he fell through the cracks, and innocent people had to die. It's really unfortunate.
I'm so with you on that, and I think, as much as it makes us sound heartless, I agree that we need to stand and hold the line, and they're trying. Rick, we're right at the top of the hour, and it's such a good message that you've got. I'm just going to let it end right with your message. Rick Ector, legally armed in Detroit. I couldn't have said it any better. We'll toe the line, and we will stand and see what happens.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.